radical cleric's Sharia law dream, £3 million for an Islamic island. Ooh, brother. Okay. In the United Kingdom, Sheikh Yasser Al Habib, a 45-year-old controversial Shia scholar from Kuwait, has ignited a storm of controversy with his plans to purchase Torsa Island in Scotland for £3 million. Al Habib, infamous for his provocative sermons and military style training camps, envisions building a school, mosque, and hospital on the remote island to establish a homeland for Shia Muslims worldwide. In a fundraising video on his satellite channel, Fadak TV, he urged supporters to donate, saying, quote, "If you want to live free under the banner of the Imam, in a special homeland where you feel like everything reminds you of the awaited Mahdi, everything is the Shia homeland support in this project. The Mahdi is a prophesized redeemer in Islam who will rule before the day of judgment and rid the world of evil." Sarah Zamini of the Atlantic Council, who studied this group, warned that the community would function autonomously, managing its own schools, hospitals, and justice system. Despite fierce opposition and the current owner's reluctance to sell, estate agent Slavis confirmed that the torso remains on the market. Al Habib, who has been in the UK since 2004 after fleeing Kuwait, was repeatedly stirred sectarian tensions and faced government scrutiny for his incendiary broadcasts. His plans have reignited debates over religious freedom and community integration in the UK, underscoring ongoing tensions between secular and religious values. Okay, so I need to data dump a little bit just about this present day story, and then Armin can dive into who these people are and why this and why why this is. Okay, so Sheikh Yasser Al Habib is from Kuwait, and back in the early 2000s he got kicked out of Kuwait and actually basically I think he got his citizenship revoked after being imprisoned in Kuwait for stirring up sectarian hatred. What that means is that basically this man loves to insult the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, more than anyone else I've ever seen on this planet. Some of you will remember a few weeks ago we were showing videos of this guy celebrating the death of Aisha and singing songs about how Aisha is in hell. And this is extremely inflammatory to basically all Sunnis around the world. um, and we can get into a little bit about their ideology and theology later because it's so interesting and they use extremely coded language to talk about what they actually mean. Oh my god. Okay, so okay, what happened here? So he was raising money between 3 million to 3.5 million pounds to buy this island. Now, the person who is the estate owner of this island, because of the media firestorm, is like, I would not sell it to him. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. I don't think this would be a good place to do that, anyways. And the island is still available for sale. But on his channel, his Arabic speaking channel, Farak TV, which now that this video cannot be found on their channel, they had a fundraising video about how they needed to raise money to fund a Mahdiist homeland for the Shia. And part of this scheme, Armin, is that his group would negotiate a special visa with the UK. They would negotiate a special visa with the UK so that Shias from around the world could resettle on this island. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that they would have their own homeland. So
And UK would do this. Why? The UK were like, sure, let's do that. Why? I mean, I'm seeing videos of like they're planning on doing military training on this island and stuff like that, like raise an army, right? So why would the
So
UK be like, sure? Huh.
they this group has already bought an old church hall where they organize their satellite TV out of for like £1 million. They have a property in an area, and they have their own name for this property. It's the Minor Lands of Fadak. You guys can look this all up. And this little like closed off kingdom, their Minor Lands of Fadak, uh has become where they have their headquarters, and they do their content in Arabic, which is Fadak TV, and in English, which is called Rafida Plus. Now, Rafida is usually a derogatory term used for the Shia. And you will see people like Daniel Hakikaju referring to the Rafida in a very pejorative, negative way. But this group has taken that label and like reclaimed it and be like, yes, we are Rafida. And they are insistent upon, so how should I go into the kind of the background and theology now? I don't know. Basically, this is a group that does not believe in Sunni Shia unity. They do not believe in coming together with Sunnis. They do not believe in being, I guess, peaceful or friendly with Sunnis to a certain extent. Because several years ago, 2 years ago, I got very deep into following this group. And I would literally go watch on their English channel their live streams that they would do. And one time I tried to call into their call-in show. And when watching their channel, they cite this hadith. And I cannot remember the actual hadith anymore or the scripture, but basically they have this hadith that they hang on to where they talk about that the Prophet Muhammad prophesized that there would be like a huge number of Muslim sects. I can't remember what the number was. Like maybe it was 72, maybe it was 172. I can't remember. But they're like, the prophet already told us that there are going to be like 172 different types of Muslims, but only one of them will be correct. And they take it that they are the one that is correct. And so that they have no need to be pretending to be in unity with these other groups. And so they do things that the rest of the Sunni Muslim world and even most of the other Shia world find very, very inflammatory when it comes to the insulting of the figures that Sunnis find the most holy. Basically, because they think that those Sunni figures that are the most holy to the Sunnis are the original terrorists. And we can get into discussing that because that's a very interesting, fun conversation. So they basically think that, all these issues of terrorism, this is not an Islam thing. This is a Sunni thing. So they use very coded language to like get around this. And on their property, the Minor Lands of Fadak, they do what basically looks like LARPing paramilitary training, where they're going around doing marches in full uniform and stuff, which I'm pretty sure is in contravention of the UK law. Like you can't there's a law about having like other uniforms in this sense. Like you can't just be raising a paramilitary, like this force that's uniformed outside of the scope of the law. And then doing like training routines. I'm not a lawyer though. I'm not super familiar with that area of the law. Anyways, so this idea is that you know how like this isn't a perfect analogy, but Israel is like, okay, if you're a Jew that's persecuted around the world, like you can come home and you can come to Israel. This is going to be your safety zone. They basically want to do something kind of similar, but for Shias. So any persecuted Shia around the world can come live on this island, and they are going to have this island that is preparing for the Mahdi. That is preparing for the Mahdi.
Yeah, that's the point of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which they do not agree with. So the whole point of the Islamic Republic of Iran is they have basically taken the country hostage, Iran as a country hostage, to turn that into a land for when the Mahdi comes. He has an army ready, he has a land ready, he has everything ready, okay, to basically invade the whole world. That's the goal of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And these Shias, these Shirazi Shias, they hate the Islamic Republic. So this is a different version of 12-er Shia Islam. They hate Khomeini, they hate Khamenei, they hate the concept of Wilayat Faqih. So this guy was like, wants to buy a tiny little island to be like, no, this is the army and the land that when the Mehdi comes, we will give. So wait a minute, they're basically creating a kind of version of Wilayat Faqih themselves, like the thing that they actually claim
Yes.
to hate.
And this is what's important, because if you go watch British TV coverage from like conservative British channels, they don't understand this, Armin. And they're like, oh my God, they're talking about the Mahdi. That means that they're with the Iranians. It's so dangerous to have them be with the Iranians. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You don't understand. They hate the Khomeiniist ideology, that regime, probably more than most people. They are diametrically opposed to that regime. They are not with the Iranians, but they also have their own, it's this like offshoot of 12er Shiaism. So they are going to be talking about the Mahdi, but they're not with the Iranians. The Islamic Republic put their leader, what's his name? Sadiq al-Shirazi, I think, under house arrest at some point because he was too extremist for them. And
yeah, I mean, it's not the two. They don't care. Okay, so let's be clear. Okay, they don't care about you being too extreme. They care about you being a threat to them. So you could be as extreme as you want, as long as you're not a threat to Khamenei. That's fine, right? They like the regime sometimes arrest people or put people who are against the regime into house arrest in prison, and then but they explain it to the people. They lie to people. They say like, oh, we arrested them because they were too extreme, to give a moderate image of themselves to the people. Like, oh, look, don't be worried. Don't say we're extreme. These are the actual extreme people. Look, we're against extremism. But that's not why they actually arrest them. So just let's be clear about that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and one of the things that they point to is that the Islamic Republic of Iran has made the practice of tatbir illegal. So tatbir is where you take a knife and you slice your forehead open. But it's almost a form of bloodletting. And you can find these videos of these groups of these guys in the UK wearing these white robes, and then they're bloodletting so that they're covered in their own blood, to represent the blood of Hussein.
Religion, not barbaric, but not barbaric at all. Okay, like this is, oh my, doesn't this just warm your heart? Like, isn't these practices, like some people have Christmas, I don't know, some people have Hanukkah. These people just like make themselves bleed, and also their children. They actually do this to their babies as well. They make them bloody. Yeah, well, like what a beautiful tradition. Yeah, but go on.
And so there are all these instances where this group has caused problems in the UK because they have gone and attacked the Azerbaijani consulate and like raised their flag on the Kuwaiti consulate, because they have this group within this constellation of groups called the Mahdi Servants Union. The Mahdi Servants Union, or MSU, is a global union between believers in the necessity of preparation to the reappearance of the promised Imam Mahdi, peace be upon him, through faith advancing of societies in accordance with the Islamic Rafida values and achieving the Shia civilizational dominance. This is the statement of purpose on their own website of a group legally operating within the UK. And when I said that they're operating under the radar, I don't mean that they're necessarily doing things that are illegal, although there is some of that stuff. What I mean is that they are a group that has been operating with somewhat of a low profile in comparison to other groups within the United Kingdom, like the Muhajirun of Amjad Chowdhury or something, which obviously gets like a high degree of media attention. These guys like cause a little bit of a splash every once in a while, and then kind of like fade from the consciousness, and people don't really know what's going on there. And the thing is that they have received repeated warnings from Ofcom, the British broadcasting regulator, for their sermons on Fadak TV that are spreading hatred of Sunnis. But Ofcom hasn't shut them down. And basically, they have been allowed to operate for a very long time and kind of start their own little compound in the minor lands of Fadak. And so now they wanted to expand it to this island. The problem is that a lot of people who are familiar with this part of Scotland are saying that this is a horrible idea because you can only reach this island on a private ferry from another island, and that island can only be reached from another ferry, and that basically it's not a good property choice. There's major concerns. Um so Okay, so that was a big dump. Armin, we could get more into who these people are and the conspiracies about them, and
Yep.
because there are a lot of conspiracies about them.
So
Or we could watch a video that they put out in response to the media backlash about this action, because I found their own statement on this, which I think is very interesting.
do you also want to mention that these people, some of them were in love with the queen and were trying to make her Muslim, like consider her like a
Okay.
because like you have to be careful because these Shirazi Shias you might like are different from the Shias from coming out of the Tehran. Some of them are obsessed with the British monarchy, and they kind of like the British monarchy, and that might make some of you guys sympathetic to them. And some of these people were trying to make the point that the queen was the descendant of Muhammad, so and that to justify their obsession with her. So do you want to talk about that or not? Like,
Okay, so there are a lot of conspiracies about this group. These conspiracies come both from Sunnis and also from other Shias, primarily from the Shias that support the Iranian regime. So if you are interested in going down this rabbit hole, you can. Yeah. If you're interested in going down this rabbit hole, literally just in YouTube type in Shirazi Shia exposed, and you will find videos from a group called Islamic Pulse, which is a group that is a Pakistani guy who's a Shia seminary student who supports the regime in Iran. And then also videos from Sunna Discourse, which is a hardcore Sunni guy that has these videos exposing these Shias. And basically, they say, like, just the same way that the US was funding ISIS, the UK government is funding the Shirazi Shias. And they have all this evidence of this because this guy, Sheikh Yasser al Habib, will be praising the queen, talking about how they love the queen. The queen is a Sayyida, meaning Queen Elizabeth was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. And oh my God, it goes so deep. And then part of the thing is that Sunnis will use to weaponize against Shias is they will say, who is your marja, when they want to try to expose someone. Marja meaning who is the Shia's source of emulation. Because Shia Islam follows a chain of emulation, so to speak. So who is the imam that you are emulating? Who is your leader? Who is your marja? And they use this phrase when they're trying to ask, is your marja al-Shirazi? because there are people like Imam Tahwidi, who became famously known as the Imam of Peace, who his marja is al-Shirazi. There are other people who present themselves as kind of moderate Shias, like Syed Amar Naqshwani, who they think that his marja is al-Shirazi. But Naqshwani kind of waffles back and forth. He's like, I have a lot of respect for Khamenei, of course. Of course, as a scholar, I have a lot of respect for Khamenei. But then there's other people, it's like you also have a lot of respect for them as well. So he tries to play both sides, like he's a little bit of a fence sitter. He doesn't make himself clear. But if you go watch his older sermons that have come out on camera, like he's talking about how Sunni Islam is ISIS, basically. So they're like,
Right.
sounds like
All right, all right.
Shirazi. Maybe I'm going too deep right now. But
Yes, you're like we're getting so deep. People might be losing you. Because Susie knows so much. Susie knows about these people way more than I do. Okay,
and this is
so
why they call it secret Shia. That's where this joke started. People don't know.
yes, but look at this. This is how they try to. This is the lineage. They connect. You can see at the very bottom. That's a queen. So basically, the king now is also supposed to be connected to Muhammad, but this is how they track Prophet Muhammad all the way down to Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so they're like they try to justify their obsession that they have with her, with like that. But anyways, these people are crazy. Also, when you said it was interesting to me that you said the TV is called Fadak. Fadak,
Yes.
is that
Yes.
like FADAK,
Okay.
like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what is that? Do you know what
I
that
do
name
not know what
refers
that
to?
means.
That's the land that Fatima was fighting for after Muhammad's death, because Abu Bakr, Omar, and Osman, they took away her land, and she was fighting for her right to get back that land.
Yeah.
And that's the name. So this land is kind of like, I don't know, referring to Fatima's land. Anyway, so that's the name that they're referring to.
Yeah, so they've
So
bought property in the UK and have renamed it the Minor Lands of Fadak.
really,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, 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 yeah. You can
That
literally go
so
look this
see
up on
the
Google Maps.
this is very dangerous. Like I did a stream earlier talking about, these some of these people are making a nation within a nation without actually having to raise an army. But they are raising an army, right? They are actually training and everything.
It's
And
extremely
like these are
larpy.
yes, it's larpy, but they're at least I mean, you can see the motivation there, and actually, they're more dangerous because some of them actually kind of like the British monarchy. So a lot of people might feel like, okay, they like us, like they're not that big of a threat then, and then they do stuff like this. So-
It's very confusing. It's all a mess. But this is such a fun rabbit hole to go down. It is so interesting. Like I said, I literally tried to call into their live show. And the funniest thing is like I was watching their content so much at one point that when these videos came out of them doing the military drills, I see one of the guys in the crowd doing the drills and I'm like, "Oh, that's the host of the show that I used to watch. Good to see him." Like I like
I mean,
recognize them.
oh my God. Jesus,
Um
this is so dangerous. God damn it, man.
there is one other thing that people need to know about this group that we have touched on before is that this group put out a movie 2 years ago called The Lady of
Hmm.
Heaven. And
Go
this
watch it.
movie caused a huge controversy in the UK because Sunni Muslims were protesting it and also threatening to like harm or attack the movie theaters where this movie was being shown. And
Mm.
UK authorities, having no idea what's going on between these two Muslim groups, decided to shut down the screenings of these movies, which itself is a
Yeah.
huge issue just in terms of like, okay, so you're enforcing Sunni blasphemy law in the UK. Like these people do have the right to show the movie that they made. But this movie was controversial because one, it depicted the face of Muhammad through computer generation. It depicted Muhammad and it was basically all about the terrorism of the figures that Sunnis venerate. And they were shown as like cartoonishly evil, and they were all black, which I thought was a little bit of a
Yes,
red flag.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna wait until say that. Like they were, it was racist. Like all the good people were white, and all the bad people, like these Muslims are these ones that are racist. Like they were showing Aisha. Aisha was black because they hate Aisha, and Ali
Yeah.
and Fatima and Muhammad. They were all white, and Abu Bakr, Omar, and Aisha, which they hate, they were all black.
And
Why
ugly.
why
It's
was
like,
every single bad person in the show black? I don't know what the hell is happening there.
so if
I
you
like Aisha.
if we have talked about this movie and unpacked it in great detail if you want to understand the nuances of what are going on here. So go look on our channel. The video probably has the name Lady of Heaven in it. But if you want to hear us like expose what's going on behind the scenes here, because they are so tricky, they are very, very skilled at cloaking their intentions and beliefs or using language that a Westerner would not understand what they mean. They're very skilled at
Yeah.
doing this. So we
Oh,
made a whole video unpacking everything that's going on. So if you're interested, like go watch that. But along those lines, I wanted to show a video that they released responding to the criticism and accusations that they are getting in the British press. Because Armin, this will be a perfect example to unpack the coded language that they are using, because I know that you and I will understand what is being said and what is not being said, and then what is being meant. But I want to show the
right.
audience how this works.
Before I show it, I'm actually a little bit scared of showing it because remember, these are the same people who gave us the first copyright strike of this channel, and they were very insistent on it. Like we had to fight them. Like we had to go these like so that late when we were reviewing their movie Lady of Heaven, everybody else was reviewing it and they didn't get a copyright strike. But when we were reviewing it, we were being critical and we got a copyright strike, even though it was fair use. So if this is the video that we're showing is these people, are we going to get a copyright strike for this? I don't know.
I don't know. I would be doubtful because the other one was a movie trailer, and then this is just like a video that they put out.
Okay, fine, but it's a trailer. Trailers are meant to be okay.
I know. No, trust me.
Right.
I mean, this is the tactics they play. I'm not surprised. So, Armin, for this video, this full video goes 15 minutes long. We obviously will not watch the whole thing, but I would say we should play the first 2.5 minutes or the first 4.5 minutes, because that's where there's so much that is juicy for us to go through. So,
Okay, so this is
that's my opinion.
the Shia Muslim in the UK, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so this isn't.
In recent days, UK news outlets have been frantically and fanatically reporting about Sheikh al-Habib, about his plans to purchase islands in the UK, to establish the Mehdi Islands, a homeland for the Shia. They've been using all sorts of slurs and labels against Sheikh al-Habib, such as hate preacher and extremist and radical, etc. You know the terms. I mean, let's be honest now. Are there any Muslims left that are practicing their religion that haven't been called by these terms? It seems if you're a Muslim that has any ambitions, even remotely related to your faith, that you're automatically a radical. Because of course, only a radical, radicalized by religion itself, would ever have any ambitions other than material ones. Regardless, this piece from me today is not aimed at appeasing anyone, especially not UK news outlets. But it is fair for the British public to hear from someone who's worked closely with Sheikh al-Habib. My relationship with Sheikh al-Habib is probably most known by the role of executive producer on the film of The Lady of Heaven, a film authored by Sheikh al-Habib himself and released in UK cinemas in 2022. You may recall this film when radicals stormed cinemas.
Can I pause here? Just remind people that we say when you say Lady of Heaven, they're referring to Fatima. Okay, remember that these people care about Fatima, Ali, and Hussein more than they care about Muhammad and Allah. When I say Shia Muslims, and they would not admit that, they will say I'm lying. They will say this is not true. But if you actually follow them and look at what they're obsessed with, they're obsessed. This is their trinity: is Ali, Hussein and Fatima. Fatima being the daughter of Muhammad, right? And Hussein being the grandchild of Muhammad. So Lady of Heaven is focused after Fatima. But yeah, let's continue.
Across the UK demanding for this film to be taken down. Protests.
Oh, so these are the Sunnis that were protesting the film, right? Yeah.
Radicals stormed cinemas across the UK demanding for this film to be taken down. Protests and riots and death threats and all sorts. These were radical Muslims who were trying to stop this message that Sheikh al-Habib had authored in The Lady of Heaven, a message revealing and speaking about the historical founding forefathers of terrorism itself. Little do these news outlets know.
Wait, pause. Armin, you have to tell people what they mean. You have to tell people what they mean. Your reaction?
So he's trying to act like he's not a radical, but he basically says like they're exposing the fathers of terrorism or radicalism. He's referring to the three Khalifas, like Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Aisha. Also, because they say like, oh, terrorism is basically the ISIS and Al Qaeda. They're the terrorists, and that whole movement comes from the Sunnis. And he just basically completely called everything, the whole foundations, the main people in Sunni Islam that are considered the people who understood Islam the most. He basically called them what did he call the what fathers of terrorism?
The founding fathers of terrorism.
Yes. So like, yeah, okay. This is why the Sunnis hate you. You're basically calling all of them. Listen to this here. Wow, this is even when he's trying to act
all sorts. These were radical Muslims who were trying to stop this message that Sheikh al-Habib had authored in The Lady of Heaven, a message revealing and speaking about the historical founding forefathers of terrorism itself. Little do these...
The founding forefathers of terrorism themselves. Wow. He's talking about the Rashidun, the Sahaba, the main companions of Muhammad. Basically, the main people that Muhammad was surrounded with. Like, okay, sure.
News.
I mean, if these people were so bad, then why did Muhammad like constantly trust them and married them? And like, I don't know, it's like, was Muhammad so bad at picking his friends? I mean, Abu Bakr was the one that the Quranic verse is about, the one that was in the cave when that spider came out and, you know, had that net so that the kafirun, the unbelievers, would not come into the cave because they couldn't believe that somebody is in the cave because there was a net. The person that was with Muhammad was Abu Bakr. Like, Abu Bakr was one of the closest companions of Muhammad, and these people are calling them the founding forefathers of terrorism, the original ISIS. Like, what the hell? I mean, here. Let me tell you, we don't have a Quranic verse referring to Ali. We have a Quranic verse about the story of Abu Bakr and Muhammad together. So there you go.
No, these terms were first coined against Sheikh al-Habib by the radicals themselves. These terms were coined by people who were trying to silence him from speaking out against the root cause of terrorism in history. It is the same.
The root cause of terrorism in history. He's talking about Sunni Islam. Okay, and then when you tell these people like, okay, so Sunni Islam is the root cause of terrorism, how is it that almost every single terrorist group in Islamic terrorist group on the planet is right now backed up and funded by the main Shia force, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran? So you kind of like, oh no, it's the Sunnis are terrorists. Show me a terrorist group. There are very, very few terrorist groups, like there are, but like the vast majority of terrorism is right now being backed by the main Shia power in the world. And if you tell them that, they're like, those are not the real Shias.
Exactly.
We are the real Shias. Well,
yeah,
the Sunnis say the same thing. Yeah,
if you watch their content long enough, they have an entire name. Yeah. They have a name for them. I can't remember right now, for the Islamic Republic. And their problem with the Islamic Republic is not necessarily that they have a problem with the idea of the guardianship of the jurists, but that they don't like the power structure, essentially, that it allows too much power in one man's hands. That's what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, but I was saying the Sunnis will say the same thing. The Sunnis will say, well, like ISIS and Al Qaeda, we don't accept them. They are not even Sunni, they're Khawarij. So the same thing that the Shias say about their terrorists, the Sunnis say the same thing about their terrorists. So it's the same thing.
Same thing with the claim that
the problem is not Shia Islam or Sunni Islam. The problem is Islam. Okay? It's rotten to the core.
UK news outlets keep repeating of Sheikh Al-Habib being imprisoned in Kuwait. Do journalists in this day and age put in any effort at all? Because if they did, they would know that the reason Sheikh Al-Habib was imprisoned in Kuwait was only because he was speaking out against these founding forefathers of terrorism in history. This
So he just, instead of saying Sunni Islam, he just says founding forefathers of terrorism in history. So like,
And they're like,
Kuwaitis
No.
being Sunni themselves.
we know that you were being sectarian, and that's why you were punished, and you're still doing it right now.
Yeah, you're doing it. So he's like, we weren't arrested for being radical. We were just speaking about the founding forefathers of terrorism. So basically, like the founding forefathers being the main three caliphs that you disagree with, basically the entire foundations of Sunni Islam. Okay, sure.
was the reason they tried to silence him by imprisoning him. And this was the reason he had to flee. So you can't use that against him as a means to prove that he is dangerous. All this rhetoric, the labeling and using his past against him, it is all a framework that originates from.
By the way, guys, look at this is Islam in the. I'm telling you, Islam in the UK is gonna grow, okay? Because look at this, right? This doesn't look like that angry, crazy beard, like messy all over the place. Muslim guys shouting at you, saying Sharia in the UK in the street. Like, look at this. Like, this is more dangerous. This is the future of the growth of Islam in the UK. Look at the manner in which he speaks, the background. Like, you don't even see any Islamic decoration in the background. You see, a bookshelf. It looks like he tries to, the glasses, the tone. It looks like an academic speaking to you. It looks very civilized, very mature. And this, it will, as we see Islam growing in the UK, we will have more. We will have versions of it that will be able to infiltrate UK society more, because this is the version of it with the cover that a lot of people are going to be less defensive about it. So these dangerous ideas are going to find better, more aesthetically pleasing, and less threatening ways of trying to spread. Like even right now, with Islam being such an obviously barbaric religion, you see so many white people in the UK converting to Islam. But imagine where we are going to be heading a couple of years, like 10 years in the future, where this is the face of Islam in the UK, where it looks less threatening and more pleasant to listen to and look at, right? So again, this is your future. So we have to be ready for it. We have to find ways to fight back against it.
I'm not gonna lie. He could use his voice for like ASMR. Like
yes. Yeah, are you going to see more people like him? Yeah, exactly.
It's all a framework that originates from the radicals themselves. If UK news outlets are inheriting the same language used by these radicals against Sheikh Al-Habib as a means to stop him from speaking about the historical roots of terrorism, then a big question mark must be put on the heads of these news terrorists. Perhaps this is a big psyop. Perhaps the British public is being scammed by these news outlets who are in bed with the same individual.
Wait, what is he? What? I didn't catch that. What?
It's like a little bit of a diversion, my friend.
Hold on, what?
All this rhetoric, the labeling and using his past against him, it is all a framework that originates from the radicals themselves. If UK news outlets are inheriting the same language used by these radicals against Sheikh Al-Habib as a means to stop him from speaking about the historical roots of terrorism, then a big question mark must be put on the heads of these news terrorists. Perhaps this is a big psyop. Perhaps the British public is being scammed by these news outlets who are in bed with the same individuals that are trying to destroy Britain by supporting radicalism and terrorism behind the scenes.
Okay, so guys, you have to be very careful. This is very, very sneaky. Okay, this is what Shirazi Shias do so effectively. Okay, they use your fears of Islam and they will act like they are on your side to accept their version of Islam. We saw this with Imam Tawhidi, right? So this whole this book. I have his book somewhere here.
The Tragedy of Islam. Yeah.
Yes, that's the entire point of this book. So you guys have to be very, very, very careful. Okay, so a lot of people in the West, they're concerned with the radicalism of Islam and the threat of Islam, and these Shirazi type Shia Muslims, they will come and tell you, like other Muslims, they will like, no, you're wrong. This is not Islam. You shouldn't be afraid of Islam. These Shirazi Shia Muslims, they come and tell you, you're right to be afraid. And they're coming for you. And this is dangerous, right? And guess what? There was a man one day that was standing up against exactly this very threat. And his name is Hussein. Yeah. Hussein. Right? So by giving into your fears against Islam and agreeing that this is, and they're coming for you. They're everywhere, actually. They're even in the media. These Islamic terrorists, they're controlling your media. And we are the unique, different kind of Muslims that we're going to stand up to them. We're not the same. This is a different, like they wouldn't even call themselves Muslims, right? Like they try to talk in a way that you even forget that they're Muslim. That's why they say like a freedom fighter, Hussein. Sometimes they don't even mention Islam. They just say Hussein, right? But we have, they're basically sneaking in from the other side, but by confirming that you are right to be concerned about Islam, but then they will bring you Islam again from the back door. So
and they also try to
just be
co-opt
careful.
the Western-oriented reformist movement.
Yes.
That's one of their back doors.
No, so like these saying, wait, I thought the Jews controlled the media. Well, not, I mean, to these people, the Sunnis are worse than, everybody makes their enemy could be control everything, right? So your main enemies are always controlling everything. So
but make no mistake, this group hates Israel. They curse the Zionist regime. They don't get it twisted.
Yes. So the way that it works is that whoever is your enemy, okay, they are in with the Jews. They are working with them, right? So for example, the Islamic Republic of Iran has this narrative that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are with the Jews. They are basically their projects. So whoever is controlling the media is part of the operation of the global Zionist. Yeah, I don't know. It's not consistent.
Almost
my
likely.
chest hurts from that Ya Hussein. I slapped myself a little too hard.
Hey, you're not a proper Shia then, Susanna. You're like,
oh, that's true. I should be suffering more.
You have to hit it until it bleeds, or like you have people who hit themselves with chain until they have blood on their back. So this is like, see, the whole point is to remember how much Hussein suffered, right? So the pain is supposed to be painful, so you could remember the pain of all the people, the 72 people on the day of Ashura. Okay, so
thank you for putting that into perspective for me. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Okay. Do we watch more of this, or should we go to the super chats?
No, it gets really good. Let's watch 1 more minute and a half. And then I want to talk about some things that are in the later half of this video that we're not going to actually watch, but I can summarize because I watched this whole thing. But it's very, very important that I touch upon it.
Okay. Let's go.
Just incompetent journalists who have no clue what they're saying. Because if they had spent any time looking into these things before reporting on them, they would have discovered that these phraseologies and these terms they use against Sheikh al-Habib are in line with terrorism and radicalism. Calling Sheikh al-Habib a hate preacher is saying that it is hateful to speak against terrorism. You can also not claim that Sheikh al-Habib is sectarian, because he criticizes both so-called Sunni and Shia historical and contemporary figures.
And
got it
he's
covered
talking
from every
about the
angle. He
Islamic
gets so much
Republic right there.
Yes.
But they
So
don't say what they mean.
They're so clever. They're like, we're not sectarian. We criticize both Sunnis and Shias. Yeah, the Shias that you don't even consider to be proper Shias, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, I see what you wanted to. Okay, that's pretty good. Should I go forward? Yeah.
much flack from the Shia community for refusing to stop criticizing those who he deems deserves to be criticized. The media speak of Shia themselves being against Sheikh al-Habib. Yes, no one is denying that there are Shia like this, but this is in fact the minority of the Shia. Because now in 2022, because of the hard work of Sheikh al-Habib, most Shia are okay with speaking about what happened in history. Most Shia today are okay with speaking about Abu Bakr and Umar and their terrorist teachings. Most Shia
See, he's saying the quiet part out loud. Abu Bakr and Omar and their terrorist teachings. This is. Oh my God. This is like an entire Sunni Islam is being questioned here. Look at this.
speaking about Abu Bakr and Umar and their terrorist teachings.
This is, guys, a lot of you don't know this, but this is like, are not familiar with this. This is basically a Muslim calling Abu Bakr and Omar teachers of terrorists. The main companions of Muhammad are being called teachers of terrorism. Like, let me actually say the equivalent would be somebody who considered himself a Christian and says, like, the apostles of Jesus Christ, the 12 of them, they were terrorists. Like, I'm a Christian and I love Jesus. And if you said, like, maybe Judah was the right guy and everyone else was like terrorists, sympathize, like they were teaching that. That's basically what this sounds like.
Most Shia are comfortable with this now because they feel it is an obligation and they are not afraid any longer, thanks to the hard work of Sheikh al-Habib. You can even see this now being done by many mainstream Shia speakers who are being more open and who are speaking about the truth of what happened in history. Ironically, this Shia minority that are vocally against Sheikh al-Habib, that the news outlets in the UK are evoking and using to strengthen their argument, are mostly politically aligned with Iran, the very enemies that these same news outlets are continuously warning the public against. It's a very strange thing to do. And of course, they are against Sheikh al-Habib because Sheikh al-Habib has a long history of harshly criticizing the Iranian regime. And the Shia have tried to stop him from doing so, but he's refused because he believes that this regime deserves to be criticized, even though they claim to be Shia upon the same religion as Sheikh al-Habib. And yes, you may have others who are not politically aligned to Iran who
So that was the important part. That was the important part. Because then he basically is trying to be like, well, you want to be against the Iranians, right? You want to, not against the Iranians, the Islamic Republic. You want to be against the Islamic Republic, right? Well, Sheikh al-Habib is against the Islamic Republic. And they don't like him. And all the people, all the Shias that don't like him are with the Islamic Republic. So obviously, he must be on to something. Why don't you make him your ally? So I wanted to touch on a few points that this guy goes on to make in the remainder of his 15-minute video, which you can find on the Rafida Plus channel if you want to go watch the whole thing yourself. And basically, he goes on, Armin, this is so clever. He goes on to be like, I understand the British public's concern about the influx of migrants from a culture that is not theirs into this country. I myself am born in the UK. I myself have British culture and I understand your concerns. And he goes on to make two main points. One of them is that if you are so concerned about the issue of these people from foreign lands coming into the UK, would it not be a solution to allow them to have their own property, their own homeland, their own place where they can go? Basically, what is being said but not being said is, wouldn't it be a solution to just segregate them? Just allow them to self-segregate. Wouldn't that be a solution to your worries and concerns? The other point that he goes on to make is essentially that because the UK has basically lost its Christian identity, the UK is a Christian minority country now, that this is part of why the UK is crumbling. And that the UK has done so much to bash religion and to bash the followers of religion, but the UK is now starting to understand, and the West at large, that you need religion for its utility. And you have all these thinkers that are coming forth now talking about the utility and importance of maintaining a Christian identity and maintaining this history and protection of this history and protection of this identity. So wouldn't it be helpful to have another religious group that's on your side, against the efforts that want to destroy this country and the things that are good about it? And the people that would be on your side is this group, because they are against the founding fathers of radicalism and terrorism.
Are you not impressed? I didn't hear any of that, but I told you that this is their strategy, and you're telling me that the rest of the video was exactly what I just said. Are you not impressed? I know these people under what they're doing, and basically you confirmed everything I said, that they will come and confirm your fears, and they will try to seek themselves and from the back door by threatening you about other Muslims, by confirming your fears. And also, like, hey, yes, you're right. The demographics are going to change, and this is bad. So let's give them their own island. That was let's segregate them from the rest of society and give them a corner where they could grow faster without any interference. Yeah, that's a great solution. Let's just get let it. What are you talking about? So this makes it worse. Give a part of your nation to another nation. That's your solution. Basically, everything we're afraid of is so that doesn't happen. And you're just saying this is bad, so let's just go to the final worst case scenario. Everything we're trying to avoid is that, and you're just saying, like, let's just do that, and then we don't have to be worrying about it.
Problem fixed. No, and then he goes on to say, where has Sheikh Al-Habib...
It's kind of like somebody having like cancer and saying, like, well, if I kill you, then you don't have to worry about cancer anymore. That's what I'm hearing. But yeah, go on.
So he goes on to say, where has Sheikh Al-Habib ever talked about Sharia law? We are not like other Muslim groups. We believe and promote following the rules of the United Kingdom. All these news stations, these news terrorists are talking about him applying Sharia law. Where has he ever made that statement? Now, Armin, you tell me if I'm going out on a limb here. But when they have other elements of their organizations talking about how they want to prepare the land, do the necessities of preparing for the return of the Mahdi through faith advancing in societies according to Islamic refuted values and achieving Shia civilizational dominance, am I wrong in being like, to prepare the land for the return of the Mahdi, you would have to be living Islamically and following those rules? Like, so is that not Sharia, just not saying that you're following Sharia? Tell me if I'm wrong here.
No, I mean, the point is that they don't have to establish Sharia, because establishing Sharia is for them when the Mahdi comes back, right? I think the best way to ask them is like, so yes, you're going to follow the laws of the land, but you're going to prepare everything for the Mahdi to come, for him to do what? That's the question. Because, like, oh, we're not going to be a threat. We're just going to prepare everything for the Mahdi to come back. And then, like, yeah, what is the Mahdi supposed to do? And how are you preparing for him? Like, what are you preparing for him? Because the Mahdi is supposed to come and take over the fucking planet. He's supposed to basically, I mean, the whole point of Mahdi to come is to basically destroy everything non-Islamic and basically have victory over the enemy, over non-believers, and defeat every single non-Islamic government and make all everywhere on this planet Islamic and establish Sharia then. So you're like, hey, don't worry about us. We don't want to establish Sharia now, but we want to prepare the tools and the equipment and the resources somebody would need to be able to dominate the entire planet with Islam. But don't worry, we're not going to do it. Mehdi's going to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure. No, like, even if you think that's not going to happen in our lifetime, it's extremely dangerous to let a group of people have all the resources for a plan like that. I mean, I don't know if you followed Shia Islamic history, but throughout Islamic history, at some point somebody came and like, yeah, I was the Mahdi. I'm the Mahdi, right? So, and imagine these people just have all that resources, military and equipment there for the Mahdi to come back. And at some point, if they have enough of it, at some point, somebody is going to come and say like, I'm here. You were waiting for me. I mean, Khomeini was almost tempted to do that, right? Khomeini was almost tempted to do that. The whole point of creating the Vilayat Faqih was basically an in-between. It was too much for him to say, I am the Mahdi. So the whole point of Vilayat Faqih was like, okay, I may be not the Mahdi, but the Mahdi is speaking to me, and I am representing his will. That's the and these people might do the same thing. I mean, these people at some point might do the same thing. So yeah, this is extremely dangerous. Do not trust these people. Do not let them segregate. The best way to defeat Islam is not to get people who are actually UK citizens to have their own area. That's actually the most dangerous thing you could do. That will let them mobilize. That will make them have parallel legal system. That will make them have a parallel nation and eventually have a parallel state, which means that they will have a parallel nation state. This is an invasion from within. This is creating a nation within a nation. The only way that you could deal with all of this, and I know a lot of you don't like to hear this, but the only way that you could defeat them is by not letting them segregate from the rest of society, but to basically take them in and make them assimilate with the rest of the society and make them British before they are Muslim. That's the only way. If you segregate them, that will be exactly the opposite direction of how you could defeat Islam. The only way to defeat Islam in the UK is to reach out to every Muslim and make them more British than they are Muslim. That and what they're suggesting is the opposite. And the reason why they're suggesting they're opposite, because this is how you Islamize a society. The way you Islamize a society is you separate them from the rest of the society. But go on, Susie.
I just wanted to show that you can find their compound on Google Maps, literally called the minor land of Fadak.
Wow.
After Fatima. And this is the photo that's on Google Maps.
Wow, look at the military.
Like
the boys.
Yeah.
What the hell is happening?
I'm telling you guys, you cannot make this stuff up. And this is why you need to subscribe to Atheist.
Bring it back.
Okay.
I want to analyze that picture. Yeah.
No one else is covering this the way that we are covering this. Like, you are not going to find this in British media. Like,
so this is the picture that they are putting. It's where is this?
1 month ago.
This compound? Where is this compound?
It's in a little British town called Fulmer, I think.
It's a child wearing military uniform. I mean, do I need to say more? It's a freaking child in the UK wearing a military uniform.
And this guy, Sheikh Yasser al-Habib, came into the UK as an asylum seeker.
Oh my God, what the hell? Okay.
You can't make this stuff up.
Oh my God.
Dude, and yeah, guys, so this is why you need to subscribe to Atheist Republic. You need to share these videos. You need to like the stream, because please let me know if you know anyone in the UK space that is going to give you this level of information. about what's actually going on here. Like the British media is like, oh, the Mahdi, he's with the Iranians. No. It couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, there's so much going on here. But moral of the story is their proposal of an island is not going to go through. Whether or not they get their little Shia island, their Shia homeland, is only the beginning of the issue. You know?
Yeah.
There's
It's not going to go through, but it's going to excite. The LARPing is funny and it's fun to laugh at. But the problem is that it's going to excite, like, oh, we're going to have our own compound. This is possible. This is their wildest dreams. This is why a lot of people got excited about ISIS, because having an Islamic state with its own army and its own people, it just excites many Muslims, right? So even if they don't get it, the excitement will get a lot of people paying attention to them, donating to them. I mean, maybe I was thinking they're stupid. They're not going to get that. But maybe they're not that stupid, because even if they don't get that, they got on the news because of it, and they got a lot of people are not going to send them more donations just because this might happen, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's not that stupid. Maybe they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And like I said, they don't have the attention that other Islamic groups in the UK get. They don't.
Yeah.
So they've been allowed to operate like this.
The main lesson you need to take from this is that when you see Muslim institutions coming out and agreeing with you that, oh, yes, Muslims are changing the demographic of the UK. Oh, yes, Islam is like many, Islam is full of terrorism. And, the terror threat coming from Islam is a serious problem that need to be addressed. If there are people who saying this to you, who are they themselves are Muslims and they are representing an Islamic institutions, do not think that they're on your side, okay? Do not think like, oh, okay, this is a version of Islam that I might be okay with. It's a trap. It's a trap, okay? Be careful. They're actually the most dangerous ones.
They're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the super chats. We have a lot of super chats to go through, which is excellent.
Yes.
So bring forward the one from Yusuf Dumphy that we accidentally lost last week.
Yes.
Sorry, Yusuf. We did see this like immediately after the stream ended, so we will answer it now. Yusuf last week said, how secularized are Hanukkah and Eid? I can't remember why we were talking about this.
Yes, well, so Hanukkah, I think, is a lot more secular than Eid, because there's a lot more. I mean, Eid is starting the process of secularization. People like just looking at a festival, sometimes just a festive activity, and not really, So when it comes to Christianity and Judaism, the secularization of the rituals have gone a lot farther. Okay. By the way, secularization, guys, just remember, it's not reform. Islam cannot be reformed. Secularization means removing the religion from the ritual, just like Christians have done with Christmas. And you could see that in many Jewish rituals, because a lot of atheists or secular Jews who do not believe in these stories or who do not take them seriously still participate in these rituals because it's a festive activity that just brings people around. It's not really about the religion or the faith for some people. But Islamic rituals is a lot farther behind on this, especially because a lot of people who leave Islam hate Islam. But I do support that happening, because that will mean people could leave Islam easier if they get to keep their rituals or whatever they enjoy doing. So it's a lot farther behind, but it is starting to happen. We covered the story from Iran when the girls with that hijab, they were like doing Zanjir Zani. That's how that sparked this discussion.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Okay, so let's go to all the super chats we just got today. Raphael just became a new member. Welcome to Satan's Minions, Raphael, which is a good reminder to everyone that if you want to support the channel, make sure to come watch us on YouTube, because first of all, there's like hundreds of people watching us on Twitter right now. You need to come over to YouTube. You need to subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting our work, making sure we can keep going, because the team is far bigger than just me and Armin, you can join the channel by hitting the button down there. Whoop. I always get backwards down there.
Next to the
And you get
subscribe. It's
fun
online.
emojis.
It's on. It's here. Yes.
We get emojis. Angel LR was just celebrating her 8-month membership, saying, "Good morning, everyone." Well, good morning to you, Angel. I hope you found the show informative so far. It's been a doozy. Erkin gave a super chat saying, "Hello from Izmiranistan. I dislike the fact that YouTube doesn't let one do taped live streams first recorded and streamed as private and then restreamed as private. I'm not sure what that means because they're essentially video on demand. But thank you for the super chat."
They have premieres, so that would be the version of that. They do have that. It's called Premiere.
Oh, we already did Angel's super chat. We got £2 from Andika. No statement, but thank you for the super chat. And Erican was also celebrating his membership, saying Lundria or Izmirnistan. I'm sorry, I don't know what this means. But thank you again for the super chat. Shadi, oh hi Shadi, is saying Sheikh Yasser al-Habib is very famous in the Middle East and has great support from Arab Shiites. I was doing some background research on Sadiq al-Shirazi, his marja, and I know I can't pronounce that right. And there was some things that said that he actually has a majority of support in like Kuwait and in Iraq. Like, I don't know if that's true.
I think in Iraq, most people follow Sistani as a marja.
Maybe I'm just thinking. No, excuse me. It was Saudi.
Yeah.
It was saying that a majority of Shias
the
follow
main
Saudi.
marja, the main marja in the world, the two main marjas, okay, in the Shia world is Khamenei and Sistani, okay? And Khamenei is often ridiculed because he doesn't have the religious credentials to be a serious marja. He's only been considered to be a serious marja because he's the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But he's so low in his religious credentials that there's videos of him admitting that when they were making him the supreme leader, that he doesn't have the religious credentials to be the supreme leader of Iran. So,
but that's a whole different wormhole. That is a whole different wormhole. What does this thing from Dolly say?
Some Ahmed is saying no Shia in Saudi Arabia, at least that I know of. What are you talking about? The most oil-rich parts of Saudi Arabia is Shia Islam. That's basically the reason why. That's the whole reason why Saudi Arabia is terrified of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Because the Islamic Republic of Iran wants to export its Shia revolution into Saudi Arabia, knowing that the most oil-rich part of Saudi Arabia is Shia. Yeah.
What does this thing from Dolly say? I can't read this.
It's Khawarij. Are they the same as Khawarij?
No.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. They're not. Yeah.
And just as a clarification, Ahmed Kemet is saying Rafida refers to those Shia Muslims who reject the legitimacy of caliphates of Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman in favor of Ali ibn Abu Talib. Yes, and the cousin and son-in-law of Muhammad.
Yes.
So that's just some clarification on that term.
In Persian, we call them we say Rafizi. So Sunnis call when the Sunnis want to insult Shias, they just call them Rafizi, which means the people who reject.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they take that on. They're like, hell yeah, we're Rafida. That's right. Yes. We reject terrorism.
No, Dolly's saying that's Khawarij. No, the Khawarij reject both the Sunni leaders and the Shia leaders. Okay, the Rafizi are the people who reject the Abu Bakr, Umar, and Osman, but they accept Ali. The Khawarij reject all of them, including Ali.
And then it became Ibadi, because people don't realize that it's Sunni, Shia, and Ibadi who are like low key nowadays some of the most peaceful ones in a twist of fate. Call of Ghidorah, thank you for the Swedish Krona, saying, "Hi guys, did any of you ever watch the Piers Morgan interview with Gabor Mate regarding Israel and Palestine? It was honestly a very interesting discussion." No, I do not. I distrust anything that
Let me
comes out
see.
of the mouth of Gabor Mate because he works for the Gray Zone, which is literally funded by the Islamic Republic, or has proof that some of their journalists are paid off by the Islamic Republic. So,
I'm,
unfortunately,
I'm gonna go watch it.
um,
I'm gonna watch it.
I also Gabor Mate is denies the poisoning of people in Syria. Um, so yeah, I don't trust him. Sarah Harris gave a super chat saying, "Imagine child social services trying to reach them. Oh, on that Scottish island, yeah, fat chance." Gaged American celebrating his membership for 31 months. And saying he should have made himself a member of the peerage. I'm sorry, my friend. I do not know what that means. Ahmed of Comment also said, "I am an ex-Sunni Muslim. Sunnah believes in the Mahdi prediction as well. Across Muslim history, some terrorists emerge and claims of being the Mahdi."
Yeah, so the Mahdi in Sunni Islam is different from the Mahdi in Shia Islam. Sunnis do believe in the Mahdi, but they're not as obsessed with him as Shias are. Okay, so the Shias believe that the Mahdi is the 12. The 12 Shias believe that the Mahdi is the 12th Imam, and they consider him to be pure and holy, and a descendant of Prophet Muhammad. Right. So, and
Didn't he?
they have a lot. What?
Didn't the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, essentially go into hiding? And the idea is that he's in a period of occultation, like hiding, basically like living for centuries until he's supposed to reemerge again.
Yes, he's basically walking right now among us. So I don't think the Sunnis believe that the Mahdi was so the Mahdi in Sunni Islam is somebody who's supposed to come at some point, okay, but he's not here yet. But Shia Muslims believe that Mahdi was a kid, like I don't know, 1,200 years ago, like the son of the 11th Imam, and he went to hiding, a small hiding and a large hiding. Okay, the small hiding was when he fell inside a well. Okay, and he was missing because he was in that well and people couldn't find him, and then they found him, and that was the small hiding. Okay, I don't know if he fell in that well or if people like dropped him in that well or whatever. But then after that he went missing again, and that has lasted for like I don't know 1,300 years or 1,200
Oh, but
1,300
he's
years,
still
I
here,
think, or
guys. Don't worry
1,200.
about it. He's just hiding.
But yeah, but he's among, so he's like a young man for working among us for the past 1,200 years. Like sometimes you might see him, like he could be the shopkeeper that you're just talking to, and he either doesn't poop, or if he does poop, the earth, the earth opens up and eats his
What?
poop.
Are you serious? No,
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. In
you're
fact,
messing
none
with me
of
right
the
now.
no, this is true. This is true, right? So the 12 Imam. Yeah. So I don't know which one of these, like there's disagreements about these, okay? But the 12 Imam, they don't poop, okay? Or either that, or if they are poop, because the poop will be embarrassing for them to have poop, the
Oh,
earth
of
opens
course.
up and it takes their poop and hides
No,
their
you know what he's doing? He's covering his tracks. You know how you can track a bear in the woods based on their poop? He's covering his tracks.
No, and I was on the Persian show. I was telling people that, okay, this is good. Now we can figure out who the 12 Imam is. Anybody who's suspected of being a 12 Imam, just like capture them, put them in a cage, give them food, and just see what happens. Just wait, like I don't know, 24 hours,
Oh
and
my
just
god.
watch them if they poop or not, and what happens if they do poop. Also, sometimes when they touch stuff, it turns to gold. The Mahdi, like he Like, because like in Iran, there was like somebody, a poor man, was asking for money, and the guy took a rock and gave it to him, and the guy was like, "Why is this giving me a rock?" And then he went away, and then he looked in his hand, and the rock was gold. And they're like, "Oh my God, that was the Mahdi! That was the Mahdi! That was Imam Zaman! That was
Bruh.
yes." And he's on a white horse. He will come on a white horse with a sword, and the whole world will hear him when he speaks. And Jesus will be next to him. Both the Sunnis and Shias believe in him. Jesus will be on his side and right next to him, fighting in his army. And he will tell all the Christians that, "You fools, you claim to be my followers. You are not my followers. I never said to you that I am God. You guys changed my word and all of that. I'm a Muslim, and you betrayed me and changed my teachings." And that's what Jesus will say. Jesus will,
Oh my.
he will come.
God.
Jesus will come, and he will break the cross. And you're like, "This was not my teaching."
Ooh,
Yes.
spicy. It's like a buddy cop movie.
No, this is all, but I'm serious. This is actually what they believe.
Yeah. Kenny
Yeah.
gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you, Kenny. This is just a funny comment from Young Atheist, who's an ex-Sunni Muslim, saying Hussein was the founding father of terrorists.
Yes, actually, that's true. Like these Shia, they're like, "Oh, you hate terrorism? Yes, we do too. This is why we're against the Sunnis." Okay, you know, the main person who rose up against terrorism was Hussein. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Yazid was having a secular state, which he respected everyone's belief, and he was like, people like Yazid was evil, or like, what did he do? Like, he had dogs and monkeys in his palace. Like, well, oh wow, so evil. And they're like, what else did he do when he was evil? He drank alcohol, and he had sex with women, and he wrote poetry, and he was just enjoying life. I'm like, sounds like a cool dude. And then here's the key part. Do you know why they say Hussein rebelled against them? They say that Hussein rebelled against him because he didn't want to establish Sharia law. He wanted to just let people have whatever, as long as they didn't rebel against him. He was just wanted to live. Everybody just live according to whatever the beliefs they have. And Hussein was like, Hussein rebelled against Yazid because he was like, no, he's not going to establish Sharia law. So who's the terrorist here? Hussein was rising up against the secular government. Hussein was the terrorist. All Yazid did was just destroy the terrorist rebellion. Hussein was the terrorist. Anyway, guys,
Armin,
anytime they talk to you, tell you this, every time they tell you that Hussein raised against the terrorists, remind them that Hussein rised up against the established government at his time, and Hussein was the terrorist. Tell them that. Okay, but yeah, go
ahead. Young Atheist was also saying in regards to Imam Tawhidi, saying, but Armin, you and other ex-Muslims like Haris Sultan promoted him first. If you go watch Armin's conversation, with Imam Tawhidi on the Secular Jihadist channel. I would be shocked if anyone could say that Armin treated him in a way that was promoting him.
So here's the thing. Actually, all these other ex-Muslims were promoting him. Okay, I am a friendly guy. Okay, I talk to people who I disagree with in a friendly way. But go look at my discussions with him. I did not back. Everybody else was promoting him, like Yasmin Muhammad. Everybody else on that panel was like, "Oh my God, this is so great." When it was my turn, I was taking a hard position against everything he was saying in a friendly way, right? But I did not agree with him. I don't agree with Islam. I don't agree with anybody who's promoting Islam. Never, I don't now. I didn't back then. Do not think that just because I talk in a friendly manner that I'm promoting or agreeing with somebody. It's just my nature that when I'm talking to somebody, I'm friendly with them, right? But yeah, I
Armin,
was holding a hard position against him. Yeah.
Armin also moderated an in-person debate between Imam Tawhidi and Daniel Hakikaju. You
Yes.
guys need to go watch that debate because it is spicy. And the funniest thing is that Imam Tawhidi is trying to position himself as the reformer person and Daniel as this extremist fundamentalist. And Imam Tawhidi comes across as way more like out of control of his emotions and way more volatile than the actual fundamentalist in the room. It's just, but that is an amazing debate. Sid
Somebody's
Dave,
saying drop the link to that debate. Hold on, I will go find it for you.
is
Hold
it
on,
in
hold
on
on.
Ideas Unboxed? I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, I will read another super
If-
chat.
Okay.
Sid Dave gave a super chat saying an Iranian assassinated Umar. Great achievement. Sid gave another super chat. He gave a bunch. Should I read them all at once? No. Saying Muslims believe that Jesus will come back and partner with the Mahdi to fight Gog and Magog, who are trapped behind a wall by Alexander the Great. Imagine that. Abdullah Samir has an amazing video on the whole Gog and Magog thing. If you guys don't know what this is, you need to go watch that and discover it, because you're going to be like, what? Sid gave another super chat saying Muslims in India are local converts and run a parallel society. India has failed to assimilate them. How will the West assimilate foreigners? Impossible. I don't think it's that simple, because India has this kind of history of keeping communities separate. Like the fact that they allow personal law, for example, is they are validating the existence of these like separate tracts of society. Now, that's not a perfect example because I understand the historical context of why those personal laws were created. But it's India, the supposedly secular state, has regulations and laws on the books that validate and enforce Sharia upon its Muslim population, like denying rights of women on the basis of implementing what is in the Sharia Act. Armin, you have a...
Okay, I think like you guys are like Sid is speaking too soon. Okay, like this is a process that it takes like sometimes, maybe even a century, and the main force that will basically at some point bring the whole society together, regardless of the gods, or the ideologies that they have. Susanna, do you know what I'm going to say? Like the equalizer, what's going to make people forget about their ideologies and assimilate and follow the same rules and standards. Okay, it's the market, it's the economy,
that's like
it's
a
trade.
fantastic economy.
Yes, it's the economy, right? This is the economy is basically the greatest force we have against religion. Okay, when people are trading with each other, they at the at the altar of the market, people forget about which gods you're worshiping, right? And again, if people, this is why I'm saying a mindset. If you bring people more their mindset, if you treat people as economic entities where they're more interested in building this world and their life and their economic value that they have, they will be less concerned about otherworldly stuff like in the afterlife or like gods. And this is how you bring people back to earth with from these shadowy things in the sky with the economy, right? So India right now is moving in the right direction, trying to come up with a rule, the same law, treating everybody equal under the same law. Like it's moving in that direction, right? And this is because India is a country that is progressing and it's becoming an economic superpower. The more economic activity we have among people, the less religion is going to have an influence. The more people are going to see each other as economic entity that they could get something out of, or give or sell something to them, and religions and the influence of them is going to become less and less important, right? So that's the main equalizer. That's the main way that you get people on the same level, dealing with each other on earthly matters rather than, heavenly matters.
There was another comment from Sid saying, given the bloody nature of Eid, it can't be secular. An atheist will never sacrifice a goat. Well, you can celebrate festivals like Thanksgiving, Diwali, Holi, and Christmas in a secular way.
We could like secularize. Like, you think Christmas was like this before capitalism? This is what capitalism does to your religious rituals. It improves them. It makes them better.
Stuff.
Do you think Santa Claus is in the Bible? Okay, so like, we can change it. We could make it better, right? Again, when you make rituals more earthly than heavenly, they improve. They become more festive. They will become. You commodify them, and because now they're dealing in the market, they actually have to satisfy people. Yeah.
Eric gave a super chat saying, a lawless namaz. A prayer
like,
without God.
Like, yeah, actually, I think that could happen. I've never thought about this, right? But yoga, for example, is like, in the West, has turned into something that had nothing to, like, has little to do with its origins, right? Yoga was something else, and now look at, if you go to yoga classes in the West, and look at what yoga was before, they're so separate from each other. So we could do the same thing to the namaz or the salat as well. Yeah.
Animation is saying, look up broadcasting bill by Modi government. Okay, we can look into that. Sid gave another super chat saying, Armin, how did you learn English? Is it taught in Iran? How many Iranians speak English? Also, I read Bollywood movies are popular in Iran. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my mom watching it when I was a kid, so yeah, it must be popular. So how did I learn English? Well, I lived in London from age 4 to 6. I watched a lot of cartoons as a child. Most my family watches, like, when we wanted to watch something together, we watched like Hollywood movies. The news that was always playing in our house was BBC News, right? Because my dad always, like, it was always in the background, like when we wanted to get update on the news. We had satellite TV, so we watched like English news. And yeah, I read a lot of books in English. And yeah, so as a child in Iran. So how many? I don't know what percentage of Iranians speak English. It's not. I mean, here's the thing. Most of them, I think, have some knowledge of English, but because knowing English is associated with being knowledgeable and educated, a lot of people are shy in Iran speaking English, because they think if their broken English will show them to be uneducated. So they want to, like, a lot of people in Iran, like, I don't know the percentages, but I know some people in Iran are obsessed with getting their English to be perfect before they start talking it, because they don't want to. A lot of people in third world countries see not speaking English as being uneducated and lower class, right? So that's why a lot of people are obsessed with improving their English. But you don't see that in non-English speaking first world country, like for example in Japan. There's no, if you don't speak English, people don't look down upon you, right? But if you go, I don't know, like right next to them in the Philippines, if somebody's English is bad, they will look down upon you. On in Iran, if you don't speak, like if somebody speaks English very well, they're like, oh my God, the parents are like, wow, so you speak English so perfectly. That's amazing. But I don't know, it has turned into a value, and it's also a virtue signal, to speak English very well,
out of all of my different friend groups, my Iranian friends are the most perfectionistic about their English than I've ever seen from anyone else.
Yeah.
Eric gave another super chat saying Lundria equals London, in Izmirnistan equals Sumnir.
So he's playing.
Sumnirna Izmir.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's talking
Um.
about Islamization, I think, in certain places.
Yeah. So Dave, give another super chat saying extremist Shias also want to revive the Hashashin Shia sect. These are the guys high on drugs who would do political assassinations between the 10th and 13th century before Mongols thankfully got rid of them. This is where the
I
word
don't think they
assassin
want to
comes
revive.
from, right?
Yes. But I haven't seen anybody want to revive them. Most
Yeah.
Shias are not even aware of their existence that much.
They were
Because that
Ismailis,
Shia
right?
Islam is like a separate. Yeah, that's more like Ismailis. That's like, this is not their Shia Islam is not the 12er Shia Islam. So that's a completely different sect. I don't know who's trying to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you're seeing something I haven't
Eliza
seen.
Ephraim just became a YouTube member. Thank you for
Oh,
joining us, Eliza.
Thank you.
Armin was also putting the link to his
Yes.
conversation in the live chat.
The name of the video, if you want to search it on YouTube, is Islam Unboxed with Imam Tawhidi, Daniel Haqiqatju, and Armin Navabi. So yeah, actually I will put the name of the video as well. If you guys don't have the time to click on the link, I just want to search for it on YouTube.
Kenny gave a super chat saying, in Christian confirmation, you kill an ice cream goat, so I guess they could do something similar? What? Kenny, I think maybe this is a European thing in your country. I have never heard of this in my life. Do you literally have a little goat made out of ice cream? Please tell me what you are talking about. I have never heard about this. But honestly, that sounds kind of... Is it goat milk ice cream? Because goat milk ice cream is delicious. Yeah, I need an explanation here. He's saying yes, that's what it is.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything like this. I've
never heard of this.
Yeah.
But maybe
I'm seeing a lot of pictures of people feeding ice cream to goats. I don't know if that's healthy for goats. Guys, stop giving goats ice cream. It has too much sugar for goats. Why are so many people giving ice cream to goats? Okay, go on.
The Purple Ghost also gave a super chat saying, what do you think of protests by Israel politicians? Can you be more specific?
Yeah, which protests?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. But also, okay, audience in the UK.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, they're talking about the protests against arresting that soldier who RAPE'd some Palestinians.
Oh,
these far right lunatics in Israel who are against the laws of their own country being enforced. They're basically protecting an RAPEist in Israel against the laws of Israel. Yeah, some far right Israeli politicians are insane. They're the greatest threat to Israel as a country.
Cringe. No,
this is basically standing against the rule of law.
Can someone in the UK tell me what the hell is happening to you guys over there right now? What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Also, let me know if you want me to do a stream on this, because this is a threat to these far-right politicians, are a huge threat to Israel. And I know a lot of Israelis stand against them, but they are just using the currency. It's insane. Yeah. Let me know if you want. I should do a stream on that. But yeah, go on.
Oh my God. Kenny just sent me a photo of the ice cream goat, and it's literally just ice cream in the shape of a goat. This is adorable. Anyways, is the UK just seems to have broken out into low-key ethnic conflict right now? What's going on? Is this just a natural result of I don't know if this is something about the British temperament, but oh,
No,
we can't
this is
talk
a
about
result of.
we can't talk about a problem because talking about the problem makes the problem real, and then we're gonna like censor and silence the people that do talk about the problem until we get to a point where there's just like violence breaking out in the street because no one believes that the like elites and controller government will actually take action on the problem, so they just go do it themselves because it's now a low trust society. Like, is that what I'm seeing? This is what I'm seeing on the news is freaking insane.
Yeah, but this is what happens when the government keeps not listening to their people and just keeps labeling them as far right. At some point, things are going to break apart.
Dude, this is a mess. So, let me know if you guys think it'd be interesting for us to talk about the situation that happened in Southport that ended up leading to an attack on a mosque and it got set on fire. Um, like people are like, is this low key a pogrom? Like, what is going on here?
And then they're gonna use the fact that people are acting this way as more reason to just stop listening to them. Like, oh, like, hey, I say listen to people's concern. They're concerned about mass migration. They don't listen until you reach a breaking point, and this is how they will react. And then you will use this as a reason to not listen to them even more, because like, oh, look at what they're doing. So this is the people you're asking us to listen to. We shouldn't listen to them because this is how they're behaving.